Again, PCQIs. In today's video, we're going to be covering shoe covers, handling, and storage. So I'm tasked to review this particular SOP. So we're going to review it together. Here we go again. Hello again, PCQI, and thank you for joining us in this segment. The title would be Shoe Covers and Handling of Maintenance Personnel. So we were sent an SOP that was prepared by one of our PCQIs, and basically it asked me to make a reassessment. The purpose is to prevent any contamination and or cross-contamination from street shoes when maintenance employees repair food contact surfaces. So our PCQI did not really send us the actual process of their donning of PPE. So I'm assuming this maintenance person does not have to change shoes or wear shoe covers on moving into the production. So it's just normal. He or she also did not send me a little bit of particular if this is a dry process or a wet process. So I'm going to try to cover both in this assessment the best as I can. So first things first, let's look at it as a wet process. So the responsibility that was written here, it says all maintenance personnel will wear shoe covers when working on food contact areas when it is unavoidable to step inside or on top of food contact equipment to make necessary repairs. Maintenance will place soiled shoe covers on designated bins and store separately in designated areas. So they just put, our PCQI here put a responsibility for the maintenance personnel. But she wasn't really, or he wasn't really clear in the particular aspect of the equipment of, are they, he said that when they're going into an equipment. So I'm assuming it's a huge, it's a big equipment that you actually walk in, that it is a food contact surfaces. So if it's a blender, that's pretty big, right? So, but in this particular point, our PCQI is only looking at the hazard of shoe covers. So let's be mindful of that. So our PCQI in this assessment, there's no prep station. So if these thinking of wet process, if the maintenance personnel is headed there, assuming, just imagine, his shoes are already wet. If it's a wet process, he walked through sanitizers, and he's now going towards this equipment, and it's not clear if this is during production, something happened that they have to go in. I'm assuming it's post-production. If it is, are we still going to require them because sanitation is going to come in? So there's some information that's lacking. So the other part is it's been cleaned. And these are COP parts, clean out of place. And he's just bringing them in to install them. So let's just kind of assume that's what it is, right? That this particular equipment has been cleaned and sanitized, or just been cleaned, just waiting for our maintenance personnel to install the COP parts back into the equipment. So then sanitation will jump back in and perform the finishing cleaning and sanitation. So it's not very clear on this particular SOP. So PCQIs out there, right? Put more information on this part, like what is the equipment ID? Be more specific. Use photos if you have to. So then your SOPs are very clear. I love good procedures, SOPs. And I've learned that not to promote the United States Air Force, right? I've learned that from being in the military because I was trusted with, at the time, a $45 to $50 million fighter plane. And I was giving what they call technical orders. These are a little blue book that tells you every step. As long as you can read and comprehend, you can make that airplane fly, okay? So anyway, so I love procedures. So just to give you a little bit of insight on my personality. All right, let's go back to business. Okay, so we're missing equipment. We don't know what equipment it is, so I'm a little baffled for that. And if it's post-production, why do we need to wear them, right? But if that's your SOP, so those are the type of question we need to ask. Okay, so let's just move on. All right, so I cleaned it up a little bit because it was all over the place. So this is kind of the summary for this, and these are just some of my suggestion. So one of my suggestion here on the procedure for our PCQI to change, and these are just verbiage to be added, okay? Sealed, clean, and sanitized shoe covers are stored in the designated PPE station, and access is controlled by QA/QC. So I added that on there because part of their procedure was they were going to go to this shoe covers section and pick them up. And like I said, I don't know if it's a wet process. I'm just assuming it is at this point. So if you're going to handle them there and then bring them into production and put them on the equipment. So I had some questions. What is he stepping on? Then to put them on, and then is he doing the zone A, zone B step over? So a little confusing there. So, is he going to sit on a ladder and put another shoe cover on top of his shoe cover? Or if he's not wearing a shoe cover, that's what he's going to put on. Is he going to double shoe cover, right? So there's a little bit of question there. So I wanted QA/QC, so I made a note on this particular procedure to have that controlled. As a PCQI, I want QA/QC to control that activity, to go and issue those PPE, sign off on them, what equipment, because it's lacking. And these are just suggestion, okay? And to basically track who is bringing in the contaminant, or to control to control contamination, okay, from footwear. Maintenance personnel are to contact QA for issuance of sealed, clean, and sanitized shoe covers. This was added on, or a recommendation for our PCQI. For the fact that, because we want this to be controlled. Like I said, SSOP will be reevaluated for this activity if we don't have any. And I don't have those copies. Those were not sent to me. So I'm just writing what best practices is, okay? So the next part is what I added on the SOP is maintenance personnel will don or put on their issued clean and sanitized shoe cover prior to entering the food contact equipment or stepping on top of the food contact equipment, okay? So the next step I recommended is place soiled shoe covers in designated bins marked soiled shoe covers after use. So this particular step, it didn't specifically say what to do with the shoe covers. Are you going to continue wearing them all day, in and out of zones? So we wanted to be specific of taking those off after this activity and putting them in the soiled bin for that. Now, are they one-time use? So obviously they're going to be disposed of. If they are reusable, you're going to have, as a PCQI, check on this to see if you have SSOPs for your reusable shoe covers. Now, what I've seen as best practices for SSOPs, make sure you put labeling as part of that. So once they are clean and sanitized, right, and they air dried, you are sealing them in a plastic bag and then putting a tag on it. because if this is for the specific activity of food contact surfaces. So let me be specific. Don't do this to everything, right? Not unless you're a high risk in your process. So you gotta gauge it. But for this activity, all I'm asking for my PCQI is please clean and sanitize, air dry, these like your particular SSOPs for your sanitation activity. Put them in a sealed bag, put a tag on them, the date and time they were clean and sanitized, who performed it, and who verified that activity. Now, on your SSOP, we'll go over that in another video. There are certain time limits where these things are in the sealed bags that when you take them off, that you have to then re-clean and re-sanitize them to verify that they are still clean and sanitized, right? Because just in case they made a mistake during an SSOP, missed a step, they were put on wet in the bag, and certain bacteria, or pathogen contamination started to grow and multiply. Okay, so that's a different topic in itself. So bear with me on that one, PCQI, right? I also added do not reuse soiled shoe covers. Okay, so that's you're probably looking at it. I'm a PCQ, I get it, but sometimes things happen, right? It says soiled shoe covers on there, and and people don't quite understand what that means, and they'll reuse them, or sometimes they take the shoe covers, shove them in their pocket, or put them in their toolbox, put them on their tool bins, and or the carrier bins that they bring in with with their tools and parts, and you see them put it back on and move on to the next activity that's on or around the food contact surfaces equipment that they're supposed to be working on. So be mindful of that. So do not reuse soiled shoe covers. And the last bit of notes I put on this SOP review is QA QC personnel shall log the activity on form XXX. So whatever that form is that you have for that particular equipment or activity, or QC verification forms if you have them. If you don't, and part of your verification and part of your verification and validation activity documentation. Once again, PCQI, thank you for subscribing and viewing our video. If you have any questions or concerns, contact us, like, subscribe, and share this video. Have a great day, PCQI.